Hi, and welcome back to my series in which I try to explore all of Tibia. Last episode we explored Rugard, but the limited time we had there didn't allow us to see everything. But the good news is that going forward we can explore it all. But maybe not all at once. If an area is too dangerous, or if I need to progress a certain quest that I haven't found yet, or simply need to be a higher level to open the door, I might backlog an area and come back for it later. I also won't be showing every level up, every skill level up, every new bestiary entry, and every minor location that I visit. Especially in the first episode, I will encounter new monsters a lot, and I will gain many levels. The first part of this episode is also recorded during a double experience weekend. Before the start of this episode, I also bought Premium, which allowed me to do a night of offline training, and I've changed the appearance of my character. So with that all out of the way, let's jump in. I begin by exploring the city of Thais itself. It's beautiful, but I later learned that it does have a real problem with murderers. When I go downstairs in the Thais castle, I run into an orc warrior. But the 12 hours of offline training have really paid off, and I deal way more damage than at the end of last episode. In the center of the town I run into a farm. There I kill a chicken and a pig to add them to the bestiary, and then I leave these poor farmers alone. I also explore the sewers beneath the town, which are very like the sewers beneath Rugard. It's a simple cave full of rats. I also defeat my first bat there, but there isn't anything else here that's interesting. Then I head out and actually explore the world. I start with the area south of Thais, and I immediately defeat a skunk. I also explore this wolf den, where I encounter my first werewolf. I then come across this cave entrance. The sign outside says to beware of rabbit wolves. And I do indeed encounter both rabbit wolves and ragged rabbit wolves. They don't really pose a threat to me. I'm guessing that this part of the game isn't really balanced around having offline training yet. I spot this door, but I can't enter it. A message pops up that it's locked against unwanted intruders. After killing more rabbit wolves, I get a message that my quest log has been updated. It reads that I've defeated 20 rabbit wolves and that I should now deal with the source. So I head back to the door that was locked earlier and find that I can now enter it. Behind it is this slightly stronger troll, called Trollwood. Defeating him is not very hard. In the cave behind him I find the corpse of the magician who caused all this, and I loot one of the mushrooms that poisoned the wolves off of his corpse. My quest log then reads that I should go back to Hector, but I haven't met him yet. Luckily, I meet him about right away when I leave the cave. He tells me to deliver the mushroom to Benjamin so he can send it to Edron. I do what he asks and the quest is complete. That was quite a fun introduction to exploring caves. I learned both how quest works, that kills can trigger a quest, and that if a door is locked to keep out unwanted intruders, it's probably because I don't have the right quest state yet. Later I return to that same area and explore another cave system. Here I defeat my first scorpion, troll champion, carrion worm and rotworm. It's amazing how strong I've already gotten. Last episode I couldn't take out one single rotworm, and now I can easily take out an army of them. Later I explore the Thigh's lighthouse. On our body I find this book that talks about the secret dungeon beneath the lighthouse. I discover a lever underneath some boxes, but downstairs is a sign that says that I can't fight the dungeon alone. This appears to be right. I stand on this platform and nothing happens. Presumably someone else needs to stand somewhere else, which would allow us to enter. After I resume exploring the overworld, I run into the incredibly old witch. She keeps turning both me and herself into various animals, and I can't do damage that way. But she also doesn't deal damage to me, so I decide to leave her alone. I then discovered the White Flower Temple. I believe you can buy a blessing here, but there isn't a whole lot else for me to do. I also explore the caves around it. The first part of the cave is full of various monsters that I've already fought before. But in the second part of the cave I discover a door that you can only enter once you're level 25. I'm only level 18 at this time, so I can't enter yet. I also discover a demon skeleton in this part of the cave. I'll be honest, I completely fumbled this fight. I should have used my mana more offensively to take it out quicker, and I'm also struggling to put my potions on my hotbar. The demon skeleton then kills me with a combo hit of over 130 damage. I'm heading back as soon as I can to retrieve my stuff. But I forgot that I need a shovel, so I need to go back and forth one more time. At the end of my first run in with Cyclopses, I am strong enough to defeat them. But it is an uphill battle. It takes me a long time to take one out, and they deal quite a bit of damage back to me. I then come across these strange ruins. I take a look around, but I can't really make sense of what this place is supposed to be. Seeing as there's not much here, I turn back. The next day I set out to explore the cave system underneath Thighs, also called the Ancient Temple, even though I haven't found many temples down here. The first thing I see is a lot of orcs. I have some memories of this from back in the day. I especially remember this room. We would stack boxes at the entrance to block the warriors from getting to us. And then we would farm them for experience and chainmails. A bit deeper in the cave I run into my first orc shaman. But they're not as scary as I remember them to be. Even further into the cave I drop down this hole. And I run into 2 dragons at once. I turn back immediately. Seeing as I couldn't fight one demon skeleton, I really don't think there's a chance of me taking out 2 dragons at once. But I am able to take out this fire devil. I then continue mapping the tunnels. They're home to a lot of orcs, poison spiders and rotworms. A bit further in the cave, I discovered a small Minotaur camp. I fight my first Minotaur archers here. But there also seems to be a stray orc berserker down here. He is fast, he is quite strong, but he's not very durable, so I can take him out before he becomes a problem. Downstairs there's more Minotaurs. But these two Minotaur guards are pushing me into a corner. I don't know if I can take them all at once, so I decide to come back here later. Downstairs there's just one Minotaur guard that doesn't put me into a corner, so I'm able to kill it and also grasp how strong these are. I then drop into this hole, where two bone lords are awaiting me. I think I remember these as being called beholders, but I don't want to fight them just yet. I'm low on supplies, this is really far into the cave, and I would also prefer just one first, to see how strong it is. I also spot this oasis down here. This is a really strange place. I then run into this nice player. He tells me to look for Minotaur in the Minotaur city, because it's apparently very good experience and money for my level. He tells me to look it up and I tell him that I will, but I'm actually going to look for it myself. Upon reviewing his footage I also realized that he left me some money, but I didn't see it at the time. I'm also very thankful that he doesn't kill me, since this is a really remote location, very far from a protection zone, and nobody would notice if you skull down here. I then accidentally stumble upon Minotaur. As its name suggests, it's full of Minotaurs, and they're all hostile. I do have to be careful here not to get overwhelmed, as there's both Minotaur guards and Minotaur mages in the crowd. The city is absolutely massive, so I take my time to explore it. In what appears to be a palace of some sort, there is an NPC called Markwin. He looks like a Minotaur mage. When I try to talk to him, he sends a whole bunch of Minotaur on me. There's also a door here, but it's for level 35 and up. I will come back for this later. I then resume exploring the region south of Dice, where I encountered the Cyclopses earlier. I've gotten quite a bit stronger since then, and it turns out that was very necessary, as there are so many Cyclopses here that I wouldn't have been able to get through them earlier. In one of their caves there's a basement that's filled with a ridiculous amount of Cyclopses. But on the second floor I do get overwhelmed. They seem to respawn quite quickly. And there's also some Cyclops smiths here, which are way stronger than a normal Cyclopses. I think I can take him one-on-one, but since he has a whole group of Cyclopses with him, and the Cyclopses behind me have already respawned, I will have to retreat for now. After I leave, I decide to pay the Demon Skeleton another visit. It turns out that I've gotten way stronger, and serving him some payback isn't really a challenge anymore. I then make my way to Mount Sternum, one of the most notable locations in this area. It's home to a lot of Cyclopses, but I've gotten very comfortable fighting those. In addition to a mountain, there's also an elaborate cave system underneath that houses even more Cyclopses. In the caves I also fight my first Cyclops drone and my first Cyclops smith. deepest part of the cave seems to be home to a lot of undead, including bone lords, but I feel comfortable fighting them one-on-one now. The skeletons and ghouls on the higher floors are really weak, and I can fight them off with ease. In a small room I meet this guy. He says he's here to protect this crypt, in which his master lies. I don't get much wiser from talking to him, but I see that there's a door for level 35 next to him. I'm only level 30 at the time, so I can't enter this yet. I will come back for this later. The lowest floors of these caves are full of crypt chamblers and mummies. I can fight those, but it's kind of hard, and I can't take on too many at once, so I don't want to wander too far into these caves. I decide to leave for now and come back later. Since I'm level 30 now, I make my way back over to Mintwalling to open the level 30 door. Strangely enough, it appears to be an immediate dead end, so I can't really do much here. I decide to investigate further and talk to the NPC who earlier sent the guards on me. He tells me that he is the king, but I don't learn much about the laboratory behind the level 30 door. I then have a look upstairs, and there's quite an ambush waiting for me there. I find 2 locked doors, but I have no idea how to open them. The only thing that I can enter is the dragon pit, but I don't feel comfortable fighting those yet, so I head back for now and see if I can learn more once I'm strong enough to take on dragons. Since I've made some money, I get King Tibia to promote me to Elite Knight. Apparently he only does that after you pay him off. I return to Mintwalling once more. I wanted to see if I could maybe clear the boulder behind the level 30 door with a pickaxe, but I couldn't. Since I don't really know what to do next other than fight the dragon, I decide to shift my attention back to the Cyclops basement south of Thais. I can now get through the Cyclops before they overwhelm me. I find that this location is home to 2 Cyclops smiths, but there isn't much else going on here. Since there are so many Cyclopses, I will come back here later to gather some experience and money. I then explore the region northwest of Thais. Here I fight a Valkyrie and a Wild Warrior, but both fights are very one-sided. I also discover Greenshore, a small town full of mostly player-owned houses. To the west of Greenshore I encounter a bunch of insectoid scouts. They feel kind of out of place here. I'm also not sure what they were scouting for, since I found no other kind of insectoid. They also did not appear to live here. I also discovered this temple-like structure, full of portals. I don't really know what this is. High-level players seem to be speeding out of here at a high pace, but I can't really make sense of it, so I'll leave it for now. To the north I find an orc camp, which houses a comical amount of orcs and werewolves. I'm not sure how they all manage to live on this small piece of land, but I guess they don't anymore. To the east I find some elves and elf scouts. They're pretty much camped up next to the base of Mount Sternum. I also discovered a strange cave, where a guy tells me that if I ever need a divorce, he will help me out. I awkwardly leave and take out the bone lords that are also in this cave. I also find a hidden pathway that leads back under Mount Sternum. There I discovered 2 demon skeletons at once. But despite dying to 1 earlier, I'm now strong enough to take on 2. Around where they came from there's a body with a book on how to summon black demons. I guess it didn't go so well for this guy. I then quickly zoom around the area to fill in the remainder of the map. Having become stronger yet again, I feel confident to return to the lowest part of the crypt beneath Mount Sternum. I discovered that there's also ghosts there. They aren't particularly threatening, but they seem to be immune to physical damage, and that's the only kind of damage that I have right now, so I have no way of defeating it. I also run into Kazunazu, another knight who is about my level. I say hi, but otherwise leave him be. In the other direction I find his body. He probably died here earlier. He got killed by a bone lord and a mummy, which is kind of surprising as they're really not a threat to me at all. A little later I'm ambushed by 2 dwarven guards and a dwarf geomancer. They scare me a little, but the dwarven guards turn out to be really weak. The geomancer can deal significant damage to me, but he can't tank my damage for very long. I find nothing else in the cave. I assume that the remaining secrets will be behind the level 35 door. I'm preparing to enter it, but I want to sell my loot first. On my way to the depot I find Kazunazu's body. The PK'er got him, and that could very well have been me. I'm not sure if Thais is an exceptionally safe or dangerous place. There seem to be people here everywhere, which is good for protection, but it's also where I would imagine PK'ers to come to kill unsuspecting low-level players. Once I've mustered up the strength, I return back to the crypt and go into the level 35 door. But there's another locked door right behind it, and I don't have the key to it. So I am once more met with a dead end. Not knowing what else to do, I shift my attention back to Mintwallin. I'm feeling quite confident that I can take a dragon at this point, so I can check out the dragon pit and see if that opens up anything. The good news is that I can defeat a dragon. The bad news is that in the next room there's 2 dragons at once. The even better news is that I can take them both on. The even worse news is that it's all leading into a dead end. So while it's good to know that dragons pose no threat to me anymore, I don't really know what else to do to find out more about Mintwallin. So I decide to browse every bookshelf in the palace. This turns out to be a good idea. I find a lot of books about Mintwallin's complicated history with a rival group. Its politics involve orcs, cyclopses, dragons, humans and trolls. I learned that the rival faction has taken the key to the laboratory and taken it elsewhere in the labyrinth, so this is what I will look for. Up north I do indeed find a gang of Minotaur. In a crate I find a book that describes that cyclopses are guarding the key to the secret laboratory. On a lower level I find some cyclopses in a very suspicious enclosure. I pull the lever and it locks me in with them. Fighting the cyclops is no problem, but after defeating them I find no key in their chests. The chest on the left contains some chain armor, some health potions and an axe. The chest on the right contains a small diamond. But there's no key. I even return here several times later, but I never find a key. Upon editing this video, I realized that maybe the small diamond was the key, despite it not being a literal key. I'm going to try that out and include it in the next episode. Since I didn't really know what to do with the cyclopses, I decided to make my way back over to the level 25 door, to the south of Thais. Behind it is a banshee. I'd actually already tried fighting it once, but I stood no chance then, so I ran away immediately. The banshee is much more difficult to defeat than a dragon. It fights very dirty, it continually slows me while attacking from a distance and running away to heal. Eventually I managed to lock it into a corner and I defeat it. Upstairs I run into two stalkers, but they're not really much of a threat. After escaping with a rope, I find myself in the mysterious ruins that I didn't really know what to do with earlier. It's funny that I ended up back here, but it somehow feels like there should be more to this. On the way to Mintwallen, I find a hidden level 40 door. Behind it I find a dragon. Fighting these is no longer an issue, but I'm not aware yet that I shouldn't stand directly in front of it. The rest of the room seems very crowded, however, and I don't know yet how strong a giant spider is, so I will get a little bit stronger and then return here. Then, underneath Mount Sternum, I'm killed by a level 137 player. I wasn't recording yet, so I don't have any footage to show of it. But it was very one-sided. I did manage to run quite far back, but I wasn't really thinking, and I didn't enable protector stance instead of blood rage stance. If I had done that, maybe I would have lived. But it's not really a big deal. I barely lost experience, and the value of my bag was only like 300 gold. The PKer spent way more on mana potions killing me than I actually lost. While I'm buying a new bag, this level 10 paladin attacks me, so I teach him a lesson behind the armor shop. This is not really uncommon. This seems to be some sort of novelty account that attacks everyone. I then thoroughly search every room that I wasn't able to explore earlier, such as this Bone Lord nest. The pit with these two dragons. At this time I had figured out to only stand diagonally from them. And then this cave with a dragon and a dragon hatchling. There's a quest door here, and a teleporter that I can't use yet. I will be curious to see what unlocks these, but for now I have no idea. And I discover yet another Cyclops spawn. There are more Cyclops than people in this region. Then I decide to return to level 40 door and sweep everything in there. There's a dragon, a giant spider, a bone lord, a cyclops, and 3 demon skeletons waiting down there. And they make for a fitting final showdown of this episode. Unfortunately, there's only a locked door waiting in the end. So what this place is hiding will remain a secret to me for now. I also find several books, but I don't really read anything in them that gives me a clue on where to go next. I then discover that you can actually jump into a well sometimes. But it again leads me to a locked door. Behind it seems to be a lot of ghouls and chests. I then discover one final Minotaur hideout. They seem to be in conflict with trolls here. But sadly this place doesn't give me any clues as to where the key to the laboratory is either. I've now explored every part of this cave that I have access to, and for now I'm out of ideas. So I decided to give it a rest and end the episode here. If I had to guess, I would say that I would have to find a quest somewhere else, which would grant me access to one of the locked doors. And that's the end of this episode. I want to thank everyone who was watching these until the end, and who subscribed last time. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. I hadn't thought that exploring the game would involve so much puzzling actually. I imagined that very strong monsters would be my biggest obstacle, but it's actually locked doors. I will come back to the things that I wasn't able to solve in later episodes. There's no point in spending a lot of time searching if I don't know what I'm searching for, or if it even can be found in the Thais region. I imagine I will learn more about the game, and maybe I can find some quests that help me get through some of the locked doors. The next region I will be exploring is the Fanor region. I hope to see you there.